Namaste and greetings. Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a Centers for Spiritual Living teaching center. I am Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson, the founding minister and the spiritual director. If you have questions about what is a teaching center, who is Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson, what is Centers for Spiritual Living? What is metaphysical spirituality? Feel free to send an email to spirituallyintegratederts@gmail.com. The website with tons of information will be available soon. In the meantime, feel free to follow us, to join us, to subscribe via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel. For more information, as I said, send an email. Look for us. Join us. I look forward to chatting with you more very soon. Much love, appreciation, and all of that. Blessings. Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts. Be mindful that today, after the Sunday message, there will be no gathering in Zoom. The next gathering date, write it down, April 29th. Make sure you grab your phone. Do it right now. Grab your phone. Pick your phone up. Get the calendar. April 29th. There is no April 29th. That's funny. April 30th. April 30th will be our next gathering. 29th is a Saturday, right? So anyhow, after our Sunday message on Sunday, April 29th, we will gather once again in the Zoom room. If you do not currently have the link, send an email to spirituallyintegratederts@gmail.com to request the link for Zoom for April 30th after the Sunday message. It's a great opportunity to meet new folks, to engage in lively conversation, heated debates, and simply just a space to love up on each other, to continue in the energy of the Sunday message, to, do what we do in community. Breathe, because now, if you're ready, now is the time to jump into today's message. Once again, the theme for the month of April, the power of vulnerability. And today we specifically are talking about the cracks and canyons, the cracks, the crevices, the canyons, the cracks, the crevices, the canyons, the crater. Yeah, I could go on, but you get the idea. So fear, uncertainty, and comparisons are just a few of the many things that arise and get in the way when we set the intention to embark upon and to live from this idea and this consciousness of what it means to be more vulnerable, to be more authentic. Now, these things are the way that they show up. They're not just something that, to push against, to fight against, to resist. I'm afraid, push against. Uncertainty, I resist. But they are greater opportunities. They are invitations to lean in, to step into. I feel fear, lean in. I'm uncertain, lean in. I'm comparing myself with, lean in, because in that space of leaning in, we have greater opportunity to heal, to evolve, to shift, and to change, to befriend not only ourselves, but this thing that we once were afraid of, this thing that we once compared, this thing that we once were uncertain about. We develop this connection that gives us the energy and the ability to grow. It is through this understanding that each experience can be utilized as a guide on this path, this thing called life, towards greater and greater levels of awareness and consciousness, not only of our individual selves, but as and of others and the collective. Breathe. Because the moment we say fear, uncertainty, and comparison, some folks immediately start to shut down because we immediately start to think about, it's like that whole idea of, when I tell you not to think about this thing, don't think about it. Pink elephant. Don't let the image of a pink elephant enter your mind. Keep the image of a pink elephant out of your mind. See, the moment we mention it, the alarms go off. The moment we talk about fear, uncertainty, and comparisons, the alarms go off. And so we shut down because we don't want to go there. But that's precisely where the power is. Breathe. So, two things, two images. Any idea what these are? Any ideas? What's the one that's more gray in color versus the one that's more brownish sienna in color with the blue at the top? Any ideas? Okay. One is a crack in the sidewalk, and the other is an image of the Grand Canyon from space. Now, what's the point? Why am I showing you a crack in the sidewalk and the Grand Canyon from space? Because it's a matter of perspective. Oftentimes, when things are magnified to a certain degree or zoomed out to a certain degree, our perception of a thing changes. Zoom into the crack on the sidewalk, zoom out from the Grand Canyon, and the ideas, the image looks the same. Zoom in or zoom out, fear. One of them brings us closer to it, one of us moves us further away. One of us gives us greater vantage point to observe and navigate, and the other one keeps a perspective. Our point of view changes our experience, because not everything that we see, not everything that we perceive is an accurate depiction of truth. Oftentimes, our perception can be distorted, and we do not experience truth. It is a fact that what I am seeing is a great big head and a tiny little body. What I am seeing is that's what the mirror is showing me. And what it is showing me, in fact, is a fact. That is what I see. That is the image the mirror is giving back to me. But is it a true depiction of what I actually look like? No. What we see, what we perceive, what our perceptions are not always truthful. Any of us who have ever been in a car, one of the first things you learn when learning how to drive is they tell you in the rearview mirrors, objects in the mirror are actually closer than they appear to be. So be mindful that something can be an experienced fact and still not be an accurate truth. What I see is, in my experience, I see the car, and it is a fact that I see what I see. But my perception says it's actually 10, 12 feet away. But what is a more accurate truth? Objects in the mirror are actually closer. 12 feet away is actually 6 feet away. Oh, so when I tap the brake, I need to be mindful that there's only 6 feet between. Gotcha. Gotcha. Something can be an experienced fact and still not be an accurate truth. All of us, pretty much in one way, shape, or form, have come across illusions of some kind where we look at it one way and we see one thing, we look at it another way, we see something else. Which one is in fact the right one? Aren't they all? You see two faces and a vase. You see a young woman in profile and an older woman in profile. You see a duck and you see a rabbit. You see an older man and a younger woman with a baby, and the portrait, a profile of an older man, an older balding man. You see the guy standing on or levitating, right? We see what we see. And it is a fact that we see what we see, both and, not necessarily either or. So it's important, this idea of fear and uncertainty, this idea of comparing ourselves, because what we're comparing, what we're afraid of, what we may be uncertain about is based upon an either or perception. Either I'm rich or I'm poor. Either you're good or you're bad. Either that's right or that's wrong, etc. And many times our perception, our judgments are actually not accurate because we are calling a thing, this is what it is, what it must be. For example, we often talk about spiritual bypass. Is spiritual bypass good or is it bad, quote unquote? Well, let's pause. Take the word spiritual off. Bypass. Is bypass good or bad, quote unquote? Well, does it not depend on what's being bypassed? If I am bypassing this discussion because I really don't want to have it, but it's necessary to have, because the longer I put off getting a root canal or whatever, the longer it, right? So that's a conversation that should be had. Supervisor says we need to talk or you're going to lose your job. It's a conversation that needs to be had, but I bypass it. It's less effective. It's not really healthy in the long run. But what about there's traffic, so I'm going to bypass the traffic because the phone just warned me there is traffic ahead. You may want to take exit 17, approaching on your right, to avoid the traffic jam. I bypass, I detour to go around. Heart bypass. You are going around a blockage to restore healthy blood flow. We often say in New Thought, be for, not against, right? We talk about not protesting. We talk about this idea of being anti, but there's both and, because if something is flame resistant, that's a healthy thing? It's flame resistant. The clothing that firefighters wear is flame resistant. But you just said don't resist because what you resist persists. Oh, I see what you just did there. Yeah. Something can be both an experienced fact and, right? So it's important for us to be able to discern what is my perception telling me is factual that may not actually be accurate, and what is the truth that is ever present in, through, and as everything. So a fact, I feel afraid about this job interview. It's a fact. It's what I feel. Truth, even while feeling the fear, I anchor and ground in the realization of knowing that I am the universe incarnating itself, and that which God is has no need to fear. That which God is beyond fear, because that which God is knows. And in this moment of speaking this, I embody this truth and allow this truth to envelop the fear that is a factual experience, and know that in this space right here and right now, while I have nothing to fear, I see the fear for what it is, and I send it love, and I nurture and envelop and hold it close until it is no more. Both and. Oftentimes we want to either or many things, and it's not an either or way of living this effective life. So let's pause, because there are a lot of people that love the idea that new thought, that spirituality, that life, blah, 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 this teaching, like it's an illusion. This is all an illusion. None of it's real. A lot of people in Course in Miracles will say that none of this is real. It's all an illusion. I understand the concept. And yet, to say it's not real is to say that God is not real. I don't care if you call it a hologram. I don't care if you call it the Matrix, because the Matrix for Neo and Morpheus and Trinity, and the Matrix was a factual experience. In the Matrix, certain things happened. Outside of the Matrix, different things are happening. Both of them are actual experiences that change what happens in. So it's not necessarily, it's not an illusion. It may not be the full essence of truth, in that you are you and I am me, and yet there's still only one God incarnating as both of us. There is only one power and presence. And yet this one power and presence is showing up in, through, and as two distinct expressions, and yet there's still only one. Woo, the paradox and the dichotomy of what. It's both and. Breathe. Because if we're going to step into greater ways of being, then it's important to let go of the idea of illusion, the way that many present it, and think about it more in terms of deception. Now, when I say deception, I'm specifically talking about a particular brand of deception, and that's self-deception. In the ways that we deceive ourselves, the action or practice of allowing oneself to believe that a false or unvalidated feeling, idea, etc., situation is somehow true. Self-deception. I am so stupid. I have deceived myself into believing a lie. I have deceived myself into believing that the illusion of failure is in fact my truth, and it's not. My deception of self is what causes me to be racist or homophobic or sexist. Not me. I'm using me as a, to be clear. One's self-deception is what causes someone to be enveloped in the energy of racism, sexism, homophobia, white supremacy, neo-Nazism, whatever it is. It's self-deception. And that self-deception, you remember there's this guy by the name of Yeshua, you may know. And in many of the parables and lessons and whatnot, like it says, where two or more are gathered in the name or the nature of the Christ, the name or nature of God, the name or nature of the divine, that which it is, the I am, is present. And because the law of mind is no respecter of persons, it works the same way for everyone. The rain falls on the racist as well as the rain falls on everybody the same. So this idea of where two or more are gathered in the energy and the name and the nature of self-deception, they align, they connect. That's why there isn't just one single solitary Klansman. There's a group of them, all enveloped in the energy of self-deception, which becomes a collective deception, which then becomes a collective oppression of others. Because their deception of self, their deception as a group, somehow convinces them they have believed the false idea or practice that they need to be or do something to be above, to be higher, to be healthier, to be whatever that is, more successful, more wealthy, whatever that is. Self-deception. So it's important for us to be able to discern, in what ways do I convince myself of something that's not true? There is something within you beyond all doubt and fear, as Holmes says, something which has never been limited by your acts or destroyed by your feeling. Do I deceive myself to believe that I have been limited, that this has been destroyed, that there is doubt, fear? Have I deceived myself? He goes on to say, this is the only something that can make you whole. This something that is within you, that is you, beyond all fear, beyond all doubt, beyond all of this. The very truth of your being is the only thing that can make you, well, you're already whole, even though you may not believe it. Self-deception, even though you believe you are broken. Self-deception, even though you may still hold on to ideas of being a sinner. Self-deception. You are already whole, perfect, and complete. If you don't believe it, if you don't feel it, then the practice is, how do I come into alignment with the truth of my being? Breathe. Because in the same way, there is something within you beyond all doubt and fear. Doubt and fear are not the enemy. There are certain things we instinctually should be afraid of. If you are on the 37th floor of an apartment building that is on fire, it is fear that gives you the ability to have adrenaline shoot through your system to get you out of the building. Doubt. You are walking from work, it's late at night, and you are going to the garage to get into your car, and you get a feeling that says, take the long way around. Don't cut through the park the way you normally would. Doubt. And so you walk around, later to find out on the news that someone was mugged in the park at the time that you would have been walking through the park. Healthy doubt, life-affirming doubt, healthy fear, life-affirming fear are nothing to be eradicated or eliminated. They are healthy and life-affirming. There is something within you beyond non-life-affirming doubt and beyond non-life-affirming fear. That something, which is God, has never been and can never be limited by your acts or destroyed by your feelings. It is what it is. It is all that it is. And when you understand what it is as you, then you feel and know you are whole. Breathe. Have you seen this image before? You know, which one is accurate, which one is true? One shape giving off three different images or three different shadows. And oftentimes people will argue and say, but it's a square. No, it's not. It's a circle. It's whatever. People argue. Which one is fact? Which one is true? Which one is fact? Which one is true? Which one is the truth? The whole truth and nothing but the truth. Now, I want us to think about this in a slightly different way by seeing this as the divine. God incarnating as you, God incarnating as me, God incarnating as some other person, which means, is this thing in the middle God? No, it's not. It's also God incarnating as, because God is all of it. God is the object, God is the wall, God is the floor, God is the colors being, God is the light casting the shadows, God is the shadows, God is all of it, showing up in, through, and as different expressions. Both and. It's not either or, both and. Breathe. Because once again, we are invited into this space of understanding two things can exist in the same space and the same time and be true. Herman Hesse says, the truth has a million faces, but there is only one truth. God has a million faces, but there is only one God. Love has a million expressions, but there is only one love. Mind has a million different minds, but there is only one mind, and that mind is God. Breathe. Dr. Holmes says, all human endeavor is an attempt to get back to first principles, to find such an inward wholeness that all sense of fear, doubt, and uncertainty vanishes. Once again, that all non-life affirming fear, doubt, and uncertainty vanishes. There is an attempt to get back to. There is a human endeavor to anchor into the truth of what first principle is: God. To find such an inward wholeness of that expression, God expressing in, through, and as me, God incarnating as me, God individualizing itself as me, that when I know it, feel it as first principle, I know it, then non-life affirming fear reduces, non-life affirming doubt, non-life affirming uncertainty. They fade, they vanish, they no longer have power over me because I am anchored and grounded in first principle, God. Breathe. Good old Willis Shakespeare says, this above all to thine own self be true, and it must follow as night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. When you are true to yourself, you cannot be false to anyone else, including yourself. You cannot deceive yourself if you are true to yourself. Breathe, because I want to remix. This above all, be authentic and truthful to yourself. And what must occur, just as what must occur, night follows the day, you will not be able to be inauthentic and false to anyone. Be authentic and truthful to yourself. Cause and effect. What must follow as natural effect, just as night follows day, day follows night. What will follow is you will find that it is impossible for you to be inauthentic or false to anyone else because you are so rooted and steeped in the values of who and what you are as an authentic and truthful being. Are you willing to do that, though? Because once again, this means being willing to be vulnerable. And being vulnerable means being an original. Many of us, going back to that idea of comparison, many of us want to be like Mike. We want to have our grass like the Joneses. We want whatever car they have. We want whatever. We copy, we compare, we copy, we compare, we copy, we compare. Versus stop trying to be a copycat. Stop trying to mimic others. I know it is said that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and there can be certain things that we imitate. You know, there are certain artists who imitate the Renaissance masters, Da Vinci, Michelangelo, right? Leonardo, Raphael, not the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm talking about the Renaissance artists. Like, people will mimic them. They will start off mimicking their art style to then break out into their own style. Someone will mimic the Andy Warhol to their own style. But beyond this, spiritually, why would we not want to copy? Because as Teddy Roosevelt says, comparison is the thief of joy. When you are a copycat, joy is not welcome in your space, not true joy, because you are trying to be them. You're making your face, making your makeup, making your Instagram page, making your TikTok, making your Facebook, making your wardrobe, making your house, making your whatever like theirs rather than your own. You want your prayer to sound like his prayer rather than your own. You want your meditation to be like hers rather than your own. You want your candle vigil practice thing to be like theirs rather than your own. Comparison is the thief of joy. Emerson says, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment there is. Because the collective consciousness would have us buy into the idea that we need to be robotic automatons copying off of everybody else, doing what they do and only doing what they do, instead of being your own individualized expression. What would it serve Viola Davis to spend her entire acting career trying to be the next Cicely Tyson rather than being the first and the only Viola Davis? What would it serve Denzel Washington to try to be the next Sidney Poitier rather than being the first and only Denzel Washington, or his son trying to be the next Denzel Washington? He is his son after all, rather than being his own individualized expression, his own divine acting artist in expression, right? To be yourself in a world that would have you morph and copy off of others, to be yourself and say, no, I am me. I live out loud. I am God incarnating. I will not. I have no need to be. That is the greatest accomplishment because it is acting, it is walking in alignment with first principle. I know who and what I am, and I show up as that. Doesn't matter what the crowd is doing. I am authentic to myself. It's one reason why I love this picture in the upper corner, the one where the people are saluting Hitler. But the gentleman in the middle, see him? What's he doing? To be yourself in a world that would have you be like them. The greatest accomplishment is saying, no, not doing it. It's not me. Y'all do what y'all want to do. I don't understand why y'all doing it, but I don't need to understand it. I'm not doing it. I'm going to live by the beat of my own drum. I'm going to live as my own individualized expression of the one, and that which I am as anchored and grounded and rooted in principle. Principle says, no, no, this ain't right. This ain't, no, no. Are you willing to, the greatest accomplishment, be yourself, be your own divine embodiment of spirit, your own divine embodiment of love? Be that. No matter what others are doing, be it. Even in a place or space where this could result in physical harm, do you understand the kind of vulnerability and power that it takes to not buy in to the mass consciousness, the dictator consciousness, to drink the Kool-Aid of oppression and terror? Are you willing to be so authentic? Adam Grant says, uncertainty, remember, uncertainty was the villain not too long ago, and yet uncertainty primes us to ask questions and absorb new ideas. Uncertainty creates innovation and invention, as we talked about with Brene Brown last week. Uncertainty, the mystery, gives me the space as an artist to look at a blank canvas and everything is possible. Uncertainty gives me the opportunity to say, what do I want to paint? What do I want to draw? What do I want to, new ideas, new thoughts. Science of Mind 3.0. Uncertainty primes us to ask the questions that gives us the opportunity and the availability to absorb and express new ideas. Uncertainty. Which way do I go? See, we think one of these is the right way to go. But what if all of them are simply opportunities to go? Uncertainty, the mystery, is a problem because we fear making a wrong choice. If I go left, it might be the wrong choice. If I go right, it might be the wrong choice. If I go straight ahead, it might be the wrong choice. And so we fear. We want to know more about, well, if I go this way, what's down there? If I go that way, what's down there? If I go that way, what's down there? What's down there? What am I going to see? What am I going to experience? Look, well, let me do research. And we get into paralysis of analysis because we need to know all of the possible permutations and parameters of the traveling space in order to know that which way is the right way, when what if all of them are potentially the right way? What if no matter which way we go, we're there? Infinite possibilities, right? All of them, right, left, forward, backwards, around, all of them, infinite possibilities. Because as Ella Wheeler Wilcox says, all roads that lead to God are good, are life affirming. All roads that lead to God, all roads that when we are anchored and embodying the divinity, all of these roads are roads where we can evolve and shift and grow and heal. It's not about right, left, forward, which one is the right one. It's about living, moving, and being in alignment with principle, being in alignment with, as Holmes said in the Sermon by the Sea, show me 1,000 people who know what religious science is, how to use it, and live it. Because when this happens, and these people know that all roads, this job leads to God, even if that job only lasts 2 weeks. This relationship leads to God, even if it lasts 2 days. This restaurant, this detour, this whatever it is, this book, this class, this all roads that are life affirming, that are anchored and rooted and steeped in values and principles of infinite oneness, source God, all of them are life affirming and effective. All of them, quote unquote, are good because all of them give us greater access to our evolutionary power and spirit. Audre Lorde says, when I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether or not I am afraid. Why? Because vision is pulling. I dare to be powerful. I live out loud. Vision is pulling. The fears are insignificant because the vision is greater. My power is greater. Am I willing to be powerful? Are you willing to be so audaciously powerful that you fear less and that the fear becomes less important? Are you willing to be so rooted and steeped that the power of the universe itself shows up in you, as you, in your words? It's there. People who hear it, you may not even be planning to speak in ways that resonate as power for others. You simply made a comment. Yes, can I have a caramel macchiato, venti, 10 pumps vanilla, not so much whipped cream? And the barista who heard it heard the power in your voice. They see the power in yourself. You're not specifically taking the pose, but they hear it. And it calls forth the power within their own selves to now come forth. Breathe. This week's practice for Thursday night, if you join the Thursday night group, or if you don't, for your own journaling and spiritual practice. Number one, what are some ways you may be or know, like you might be, or you know that you are, in fact, playing small? Well, I may be playing small when it comes to that, but I know I'm playing small when it comes to that. And what benefit do you get from playing small? Because you wouldn't do it otherwise if there wasn't some tangible something. Number two, what does it mean to harness? What does it mean to you to harness the power of curiosity in times of uncertainty? That asking questions. What can you do to practice this more often, more frequently in your life? Breathe. Number three, how can we begin to create safe spaces for ourselves and others where we can all be vulnerable together? And what does it even mean to create a safe space in the first place? Like, what does that mean? Safe space. Breathe. This week's affirmation or declaration, I will say it first. And if it resonates with you and you feel in alignment with it, say it with me on the second go round. I make friends with uncertainty, with the mystery, knowing it is a part of the wholeness and holiness of life. Together. I make friends with uncertainty, with the mystery, knowing it is a part of the wholeness and holiness of life. Breathe. As we close out, anchored in truth. Simply closing out, anchoring in this realization, knowing that the infinite power and presence called by many names, God, Source, the infinite, the one mind, the thing itself, that which it is, I am. There is only it, I am. There is only it, I am. And so I live, move, and have my beingness embodying this, knowing that my thoughts are God's thoughts, my words, God's words, my feelings and emotions, God's feelings and emotions, and my actions, God's actions. I am that I am. And because what I am, this infinite oneness expressing individualized, incarnating as me, is exactly the same power and presence, individualizing and incarnating as everyone watching. There is only the one. And so I willingly step into my power, embodying my power. The power that is the universe is my power, because there is only the universe. And what it is, what is true of it, is true of me. And so I embody this power, the power and the brilliance of 1,000 suns, 1,000,000 stars over across 1,000,000,000,000 galaxies. That power, my power, I am that I am. I speak this knowing that this is the word of God, this word made flesh, meaning this cannot be a word separate from what God is. This word is weaving through the infinite tapestry of creation and manifesting accordingly, because the law always says yes. And the way this works for me, the way the law of mind works for me, is the same way the law of mind works for everyone. There is only one mind. There is only one life. There is only one power. And what is true for me is true for all. The exact same laws, exact same principles, the exact same truth for one and all. And how joyful I feel, how grateful I feel to know that in this there is power. That in my ability and my willingness to be transparent, my willingness and ability to open up, to let light in and let light out, to be my powerful self, my authentic self, to step into uncertainty and into the mystery, to have questions and ask, to receive new and greater ideas of creation and creativity and possibilities, to know that I can go right and God is there, and left and God is there, and straight ahead and God is there, that wherever I am, God is, and all must be infinitely well because God is infinite wellness expressing. And I'm grateful to know this truth. I am grateful to live this truth. I'm grateful to embody this truth. I am grateful to walk in principle of this truth. And I declare this truth, this power, this presence for everyone. For whatever I say of, for, and about myself, I am saying about the one. So I'm saying it about them and her and him. There's only one of us. And what I say of, for, and about me applies to us all. As Nikola Tesla said, if you want to know the secrets of the universe, it's about vibration and frequency. I vibrate with this feeling, this energy of God. I frequently remind myself and attune to this vibration. I practice the practice. I am committed to this. I demonstrate a consistency in this. And as I do this, it shows up. As I show out, it shows up. And the law says yes. That means this prayer is done. Everything we talked about in service, it's done. The only thing left is my willingness to embody it and to walk the walk, primed and steeped in principle, to which I say yes. And the law says yes. And so it is. Namaste, blessings, much love and appreciation. I will see you all next week. There is no after service fellowship. Remember, I will be speaking somewhere else after our service. So if you want details on that and you want to join us there, feel free to let me know. Other than that, I will see you soon. Much love. Oh, happy Easter.